welcome to another episode of the Frugal Film Project 2022 edition. Now, if you're new here, let me explain that the Frugal Film Project was cooked up by Sherry Christensen as a way to encourage people to shoot a cheap roll of film through a cheap camera each month and then share some of their results online with a group of like-minded cheap photographers like me. Now, anybody that shoots film knows it's been getting harder and harder to find cheap film to shoot these days, so you can imagine I was pretty happy when I came across some expired FUJI ACROS II for $5 a roll at Adorama. Now, sometimes shooting expired film can be a little bit of a gamble because the film can lose some of its sensitivity over time. So there are three main factors I look at when figuring out how to deal with expired film. Number one is the expiration date, or how old the film is. The older it is, the greater the chance it might have lost some of its mojo, and you might have to overexpose it a little bit. Now, this ACROS II just expired in October 2021, so it's barely expired. If your film is 20 or 30 years old, well, that may be a different story. Now, the number two factor I look at is how the film was stored. And depending on where you get your film, you may not have any idea how the film was stored. But if it was stored in Aunt Betty's attic, you might have a problem. If it was cold stored in a fridge or a freezer, then you're likely going to be better off. Again, I got this film from Adorama, so I'm pretty confident that it was fairly well stored. Alright, the number three factor I look at is the ISO or EI of the film. Generally speaking, higher speed films are a little bit more prone to degrading than lower speed films. So my roll of ACROS II was barely expired. I got it from a reputable seller, so it was probably stored okay. It's only ISO 100, so relatively low speed, so I felt pretty comfortable shooting it at box speed. I loaded the ACROS II into my Nikon N65 and shot this roll the first week of February in Central Ohio. I developed the roll in my kitchen sink using Kodak HC110 Dilution B, then scanned the images with my Epson V550 using Epson Scan 2 software. Stick around after the images and I'll tell you how you can join me for the Frugal Film Project yourself. So if you want to join the Frugal Film Project yourself, let me just remind you the guidelines. First of all, it's not a competition, it's not a contest. There's no prizes, there's no entry fees. Again, you just shoot a roll of cheap film through a cheap camera each month and then post your results to the Frugal Film Project's Facebook page. You have to use the same camera each month and it has to have cost $75 or less. Now if your camera breaks, you can replace it with another one as long as it's under $75. You can choose black and white or color film, but once you make your choice, you've got to stick with that stock for the entire year. Now if that sounds fun to you and you want to join in, all you have to do is click the link for the FFP Facebook page in my description down below. Answer a few questions, agree to the rules, and you're ready to roll. And if you want to check out my results from last year's Frugal Film Project, click on the playlist popping up on the screen now. And a big thanks goes out to Mike Gutterman for providing the music for this episode. You can find a link to his music in the description as well. So until next time, do some good, have some fun, and shoot some film!